Hi, my name is Catherine Gloston, and this is my Module 6 presentation on professional development. The points for discussion include PD for tech integration, PD for online and blended learning, the relevance and usefulness in my workplace, a conclusion, and then my references. So first I'll discuss PD for tech integration, which comes from Oliver and Townsend's 2013 article. Oliver and Townsend's 2013 article titled Preparing Teachers for Technology Integration Programs, Competencies, and Factors from the Literature. It discussed and reviewed 6 training programs, 2 competencies, and 3 factors that impacted and prepared teachers for integration practice. So the 6 training programs included 1 pre-service training, which to me was like your first training that you get while you're entering the teacher profession. So this involved that collaboration, and it incorporated the technological knowledge as well as the pedagogical aspect. Then there's long-term courses. So as the word is used, it's longer, all right, and it comes in various formats. So you might notice it could be online, blended, or in person. And so in the Townsend, Oliver and Townsend, they used a social studies class, which I thought was neat, wherein they used blogs and hands-on technology projects, journaling, concept mapping, and even e-portfolios like we use in our graduate program. So definitely those long-term courses with the professional development are great training programs. Then there's short-term workshops. So those, they vary in length. The focus could be different, and then the follow-up procedure is also different. What I kind of use to kind of help me remember short-term is the train, try, and then share. Because basically you train on it, you go and you try it out, you come back and you're sharing what you experience, your experiences, and getting that feedback. Then there's coaching and mentoring, which is one of the things that I enjoy doing. And this is where you're that well-trained or experienced tech user, and you're just sharing and modeling your experiences, your lesson plans, your knowledge with your fellow, teachers. So having those in your school are really great as well. Then there is learning community approaches, which basically it's just another way to collaborate and discuss and produce resources based on a common interest. So that shared interest, like for me, learning community that I'm in is Facebook, wherein I'm in my middle school math community. So that's just an example of a type. Then there is the product and assessment approach. And so with this one, it's that assessment of the tech use. So teachers, they undergo assessment of their technology competencies and products. And so with the product and assessment approaches, not only is the teacher competency measured, but also the student's competency and use of the technology. So the 2 competencies that were discussed was the knowledge gap and the models to guide teacher understanding. And so with the knowledge gap, basically this is, have you been exposed to this type of tech? And so here, this is where it has me just thinking about the growth mindset that we have to maintain. Tech tool that we should be open to learning and utilizing it in an effective manner in the classroom. So, and we should also introduce selecting content and their goals before we actually select the tech tool that we're going to use. Remembering that technology must have a purpose. And the other concept is to guide teacher understanding of technology integration with the use of models. And so in Oliver and Townsend, they listed several models like usage and activity based models, which is basically learning based on use, knowledge based models, which specify the type of technology understanding that you must attain, condition based models, which focus on the conditions which the technology would most likely be used, process based models, which require you to undergo cycles to become more acquainted and knowledgeable about technology, theoretical models, where you have the social aspects of the technology use, and the material design aspects of technology production when you're planning your technology enhanced learning environments. And then there's the metaphorical models. And so that's that combination of tech and instructional support materials to achieve those specific goals. Now, the last thing that Oliver and Townsend discussed was factors that influence technology integration. And so they discussed three factors. One, the technology leadership, which is very important. And so we know that leaders, they're responsible for setting up those professional learning opportunities. So being able to advocate for the students is also a big part of technology leadership. Empowering and planning those learning opportunities based on knowledge gaps for the teachers as well as the students. Then there's external factors or contextual factors. And so those are those outside factors like limited or no technology resources, or limited computer availability, or a certain amount of access to professional development, or even school policies. And then there's the internal or personal factors. And those are like your teacher pedagogical knowledge, your technological knowledge, the possession of a positive feeling about using technology. So those basically those internal or personal factors or feelings that we possess that actually prepares us to be able to integrate technology. So now for a quick discussion on the PD for Tech, Online and Blended Learning by Philipson, Tondor, Roblin, Vals, Lamarck, and Zhu. And I apologize if I pronounced their name incorrectly. So Philipson et al., they had a 2019 framework that included important components of teacher professional development or professional learning for online and blended learning. And so there was 6 synthesized findings. So this slide contains the first 3, which are design and develop a support teacher professional development program, an environment for online and blended learning, acknowledge the existing context regarding online and blended learning, and address teacher change associated with the transition to online and blended learning. So the first one, which is the design and develop a support teacher professional development program and environment for online and blended learning, that just focuses on what it says, that support. Those intended processes, like basically all those resources and learning materials, like making sure you have access to those things, even though they're not being used, making sure that you're spreading out that training time and you don't have a lack of time. You're not lacking time wherein you're unable to attend professional learning opportunities. Then the second, which is the acknowledging the existing contents. That one, it involves the planning, the institutional characteristics, considering those existing PDs, and the financial components. So here, when you're thinking about your planning, you're thinking about this is actually that planning period that us teachers we get. And sometimes you may not get it depending on your school, but hopefully you get it. And then you have those institutional characteristics. That's like that contents and context and the culture and the institutional support and leadership that you have. inside your school. And then you also, like I said, you have the financial component, which is basically the finances, right? The third one, it involves addressing teacher change associated with the transition to online and blended learning. And so here we're looking at the reconception of student and teacher role and the professional identity and educational beliefs. So this one we see that where teachers are beginning to compare the online and blended learning with that former in-person learning. So, and lots of times we heard how most teachers were saying, oh, online learning, is way different than in-person learning, and so there were, during the pandemic, a lot of that came into play where we saw a lot of people doing that comparison of online versus in-person. And so that's that third finding. Now the next three are on this slide, and so the fourth one, which is the top one here, is determining the overall goals and relevance of teacher professional development for online and blended learning. And so just like if you had to plan for that specific content that you teach, the subject matter, also with PDs, you need to set those goals and objectives as well as those procedures for achieving those goals and objectives. And then you have the fifth one where you are acknowledging teacher professional development strategies. So here, this is where you need to be reflective. You need to be active and experiential. You have confidence and be motivated and having that peer support. So being to self-reflect and assess yourself and your profession. If you are feeling really confident about using online and blended learning, then that definitely pushes you off in that positive direction. And you shouldn't be afraid to make those mistakes, because those mistakes is what makes you better at it. So there are ways for you to reflect and improve. And having that peer support is also great, a great PD strategy, because it allows you to build those communities and collaborate. And then the final synthesized finding is to disseminate knowledge, skills, and attitudes about online and blended learning and evaluate the teacher professional development. So when you're disseminating, that's basically you're taking what you know, your knowledge, your skills, and you are sharing and contributing that to your colleagues, to their learning, to their teaching, and then you're able to evaluate those PDs and make those changes that's going to make it better. And so that is the final finding from Phillipson et al. So to be relevant, you need to be purposeful. For me, after reading the studies, the one that stood out the most to me was the one on PD for tech integration. And I found some things that were relevant, like the training programs, which is a big thing that my school is trying to get into the practice of offering more professional learning opportunities for our teachers. So one of the things that I do at my school is I am a coach and I am a mentor. So I tend to spread my love of tech all over the place. I will nicely share out tech tools that I've used in the classroom that I found are very, very beneficial, as well as provide professional development or professional learning opportunities for my teachers so that they'll have the opportunity to see certain lessons happen in action. The other thing that that we do at our school is short-term workshops. So we tend to do majority of our professional learning over the summer because of the way our time frame works at school. It tends to be a little difficult to get in any workshops outside of the summer and weekends. So we do our summertime PDs where our teachers will get together. We'll talk about new things going on with the Promethean board or with the Chromebooks or the iPads, and we'll talk about how we can integrate certain things inside the classroom, and we'll definitely have our professional learning, and not only just us together. We will go out to other schools that are close in our area and participate in workshops with them as well. And then our learning community, we tend to provide feedback to each other. We love to text, so this is just the way that we're all texting. We're texters at our school. We'll text videos of different things going on and different opportunities. We love to assemble together over food, so that's a big shared interest for all of us. We all love food at our school, and so that gets us together to be able to talk about a lot of things. It's just a big interest that we have, as well as faith. Because we're a Lutheran school, faith is a big part of our curriculum and our content, the different things that we teach. So we incorporate faith, and so we are a big learning community. We have a nice sized learning community, and it works for us. In closing, I would like to share some of my thoughts. As a teacher, we are continuous learners. A speaker during my second year of teaching introduced me to the term growth mindset. As a teacher, I want to continue to have a growth mindset. I want to be open to change as well as embrace it. Another big thing that I came across through these articles was support. Teachers are constantly looking for support and feedback. Many teachers value that feedback as they want to be better. When a teacher sits down and reflects on their day, they're wondering, what could I have changed? Or how could I have done this better? Being able to reflect and assess your learning is a big part of the strategy, not only for integrating technology into your classroom, as well as becoming effective with your instruction and your strategies. Being able to support and provide feedback to teachers can help them focus on the skills they need in order to integrate technology in any subject matter, thus building effective educators to produce lifelong learners. Here are my references used. Thank you for your time and patience. Have a great day.